Welcome to the first of many Friday Roundups.
You're listening to ChooseFI Radio. The blueprint for financial independence lives here. If you're looking to unlock the secrets to financial independence and early retirement, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and join a community of like-minded people who are getting off the hamster wheel and taking control of their lives in the pursuit of financial independence. ChooseFI, your home for financial independence online.
Hey guys, I'm back in the studio today. You know, Brad and I love this so much that we wanted to occasionally, when we can, maybe even on a weekly basis, come in for a second episode just to get you guys and us through the weekend. We do a lot of these episodes at the same time, and then we batch release them on Mondays. But a lot of stuff happens even in between those weeks, and we don't want to record 4 episodes and then really only get a chance to interact with you a month or two down the road. We wanted to do something that's a little bit more real time. So Brad and I decided that we wanted to come into the studio once a week and maybe just do a short second episode. I say short. We can talk forever. Y'all have probably already figured that out, and we love this stuff, so it's really not a challenge. But we just want to kind of go over what we learned this week, what we took away from it, maybe let you know what's going on behind the scenes here, what our plans are, keep you updated on maybe past projects, and those really don't work when we're taking the time to dig through new concepts. Hopefully y'all enjoy this and it's something you look forward to like we do. But, you know, just give us our feedback, let us know what's working for you. And yeah, thanks for tuning in for this first of many Friday Roundups. Hey, Brad, welcome to the studio.
Hey, Jonathan. Good to be here. This is exciting. We've talked about making a Friday Roundup for a while, and it's nice to make it happen.
You know, I think part of it was when you first get started, you don't even really know if anybody else is going to enjoy this. Like, I know I enjoy it. I know you enjoy it. But, you know, it's amazing to me just the response that we've gotten. We've literally been doing this for maybe a month and a half now. And just this month, the month of February, we had 20,000 downloads.
Yeah, that is mind-boggling. And yeah, I mean, it certainly picked up dramatically. Probably most of those were the second half of February. So at this point, we're getting a couple thousand downloads a day.
I know, man. Sometimes it seems totally ludicrous. I'm not totally surprised because to me, financial independence is the ultimate life hack. I saw 1,500 say that on Twitter the other day, and that's exactly the way I felt about this for a long time. Go find life hacks, that's fine, but then figure out how to fit it into the ultimate life hack, which is financial independence, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure. And yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's amazing how many emails we're getting, tweets we're getting. It's definitely this passion project that we're putting together here that, you know, you and I live this, right? I mean, we talk all the time, and we always talk, we should record our phone calls, you know, people might want to hear them. And I mean, we just love this stuff, right? And to have it resonate with people out there has really been extremely gratifying. I mean, I just, honestly, I love this. This is the best part of my week here is talking to you and just chatting about this and hopefully helping people out there.
Absolutely. And it is. It's cool to when you feel like what you're doing is making a difference, even in a small way, you just want to keep doing that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And yeah, we had our first guest this week, Liz from Frugalwoods. And I thought that episode, I've listened to it probably 3 to 5 times at this point, and you probably have listened to it more. She just really brought it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I'd been reading her stuff a little bit, just prepping for that, going into it, but I was blown away. She has thought these things through at such a deep level. And maybe I fell into some of them by accident, but when I got done listening to her, it was a total reorientation of why I'm spending my money. So I just loved having her come on and just getting a chance to just hash out some of those ideas with her.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And she is just so thoughtful. And as you said, like, she's just thought this through at such a level that she looks at it as about it. Like she said, frugality is not deprivation and it's not sacrifice. And I think that was one point where that really struck me in the podcast when you said something like, oh, we'll sacrifice for 10 years and not get the golf membership. And you know, as an aside, I didn't know you wanted a golf membership. I've never heard of an actual normal human being who wants a golf membership other than, but anyway, that might be my own bias. But
I thought that's what you did, man. I thought that's what you did.
Yeah, right. Rich people get golf memberships, right? Throw away hundreds of thousands of dollars. No, I'm kidding with you. But yeah, I mean, she immediately said, you know, I'd like to turn that on its head and say, frugality is not about deprivation. It's not about sacrifice. And like, that just really struck me. You know, she said, quote, it's a reorientation of spending with an emphasis on delayed gratification and going after your goal. I was writing notes absolutely furiously while we were going through the podcast with Liz, and certainly afterwards and the multiple times that I listened to it. And I was just sitting there, just literally closing my eyes, just taking it all in. I really was just so impressed with what she had to say. And I really want to stress, and I don't want to beat this into the ground, but frugality is not about deprivation. It's about taking your same middle-class lifestyle as everybody else, or at least this is how I look at it for my own life. It's just kind of outsmarting it in a sense. It's just taking what everybody else is doing. It's kind of like Mr. Money Mustache's How to Go from Middle Class to Kick-Ass article, and just looking at every line item in your budget and just doing it a little bit smarter. And if you just do that, it can turn you from the regular keeping up with the Joneses person next door who's living paycheck to paycheck to someone who's going to become wealthy over a period of years and almost on that certain path to wealth. And that is just so powerful to me.
Yeah. Probably more of you identify already, just because you're the type of person that listens to this type of podcast, you identify already as being fairly frugal. But there's some of y'all listening that are probably more like me, and you're the reluctant frugalist. You just yeah, but it's sacrifice. It's like anything in life. You can train yourself. You can retrain yourself to look for different things. And I think for me, I like spending money. I really do. But my ultimate goal is not to spend money. It's not to have a bunch of nice stuff. It is freedom, is financial independence. And so even for you big spenders out there, just make sure that you're analyzing what you're trading for those expenses, and if you're happy with that, if you're happy with the golf membership, but would you rather retire in your 30s and 40s and not have a golf membership? Or would you rather retire in your 60s, or 70s and be able to go play golf 2 times a year? And I think it's a pretty easy trade-off when you think about things in that perspective. And the problem is most of America isn't thinking about that. They're just doing whatever the marketing machine tells them, which is spend everything that comes in. And when you can't afford it, put it on a credit card.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And, I think this is interesting for me, honestly, because most people don't talk money, right? I mean, that's just one of maybe the last great taboo in American culture. And we certainly, maybe in the FIRE community, we do talk money, but a lot of the people that I know are the naturally frugal. So for me, it's very interesting, honestly, Jonathan, to talk to you about money, because it is such a different perspective, which fascinates me, honestly, because the people that I speak with about money, like I said, are naturally frugal, and you clearly are not. And that is not good, bad, or indifferent. It's just, we joke about this site and this business that we're putting together, and you buy a lot of things. And again, that's not a bad thing for you. You're doing just the most amazing job building this site that I've ever seen. So like the last thing I want to do is like mess with your mojo in any way, shape, or form. But like it'll be the next morning, it's like, oh, I bought a stat counter. And in my mind, I'm like, holy cow, I never would have spent money on that just because I'm so naturally frugal. Like I buy so few things. And again, like I think everything you bought is a value added, and in no way am I saying anything about that, but it's just that different perspective. So what I think we really do need to unpack this at, in a later episode is really kind of talk through this. I think it'll add value to the audience to have our different perspectives, because there are a lot of people like me and there are a lot of people like you. So it's fascinating to me and hopefully to the audience.
What I love about our show and our podcast and our 2 different perspectives, last year kind of ripped America in half, and people just couldn't talk to each other anymore. And it's interesting, and we're not going to ever really go into politics in the show, but Brad and I, from a political perspective, are very, very different people. And from a natural frugality perspective, we're very, very different people. But we love talking to each other about finance, about personal finance. And I think that this show in some ways can be transcendent, because when you do it the right way, when you focus on freedom and flexibility, it gets rid of all that crap that keeps you from being able to communicate and make connections with other people. And you can just focus on this concept, because everybody, financial independence doesn't care about politics. It is about your freedom and flexibility. And it doesn't matter about how you feel about other issues. All of us want freedom for our family. And so hopefully you find that empowering. And, it's something that I've just appreciated as I talk to other people that come from different worldviews on this one thing. We can come together and we can enjoy it and we can share it with each other. And I think that's powerful.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic that people, from different backgrounds, different political views, or whatever you want to talk about, we can put all that nonsense aside and just talk about stuff that's of this mutual interest. And honestly, like, I think people would be a lot more secure, and I don't want to let my politics seep into it, but a lot less angry if they just save some money. I think I've talked about this before. Like everything just becomes easier. And politics aside, let's forget about that nonsense. Like you're just so much less stressed when you have money in the bank, even a couple $1,000s, and you're not living paycheck to paycheck and worried that if you get a flat tire, that your life is upended. I mean, like, what a horribly stressful way of life. So I don't, just going back to what Liz from Frugalwoods said, this is not about deprivation. This is about taking control of your life. And when you have money, you have a degree of control that you simply don't have or didn't have when you had no money. So like, I cannot emphasize this enough. You need to have money saved up to have control over your life. And then obviously the goal at the end of the rainbow is FIRE. That's the goal. But even just having a couple $1,000s in the bank will make such a difference in your life. And you can focus on things that are important to you as opposed to, oh, can I afford aluminum foil this week? Or can we fill
I'm sure
up the
that's
gas
been
tank?
I'm sure that's been the biggest stressor for most people.
But can I fill up the gas tank, right? Or,
Right.
I mean, think about how stressful it would be to go to the food store, have to worry about literal cash flow on a day-to-day basis of when am I going to get paid? When is that electric bill going to come out of my bank account? Can I go get gas today? I mean, think about how stressed your life is normally, and then add all that extra stuff in. Like for me, it's all about just reducing needless stress and needless things that I have to worry about just on a day-to-day basis. Like that's kind of one of my guiding lights, is not to live a life with no stress. I mean, it's to eliminate needless worry. So I guess that's how I'd sum that up.
There were a couple takeaways that I had from the Frugalwoods episode. And one of my favorite things that I've noticed in my own life is that instead of always going out and spending money, I love that she actually brought neighbors into the home, and it's forming this sense of community. And frugality, when you do it that way, is going to make it possible for you to interact with other people. And most of America is spending far beyond their means, their paycheck to paycheck, and they try to cover it up by putting what they can't afford on a credit card. And in hers, I can just see it. When I invite my neighbors into our home, or we go over to their home, and instead of us going out to a bar, going to a restaurant, we invite them into our home to share a meal or a potluck or just spend an afternoon together. They love it. You form better connections. You're saving them money, especially if you're doing it with your neighbors where they don't have to get a babysitter. They're bringing it home. When she was talking about that, I was just living that with her. And so because of the marketing machine that we have, and people having to work 40, 50 hours a week, and both parents having to work to pay for their oversized mortgage and their 2 car payments, and they don't have any time at home, and they're stressed out, and they're paycheck to paycheck, if you can just help them by providing a low-cost time activity that increases this sense of community, that's powerful. And you're benefiting from it. They're benefiting from it. Your friendships are deepening. It's taking you a place that you didn't expect to go. And so her idea of just her word for it was luxurious frugality. And it makes sense to me that her life is happier and less stressful. I could understand her decision tree, why she got there. And in fact, I came away from it wanting to emulate her.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, I mean, that kind of leads into a quote that I'm going to read from Liz, which was my biggest takeaway. And it's, when you have unlocked the magic of being content and happy with the simple things in life, you are setting yourself up for success over and over again. Because when you can be joyful just with looking forward to a regular Tuesday, you are a vastly happier person than if you're only looking forward to that treat on Friday night of going out. So it's a wholesale restructuring of where you find joy in life and what makes a meaningful life for you. That is absolutely incredible. Yeah, I've got nothing to add to that. So again, thank you, Liz, for being on. We really appreciate it. And it was a wonderful episode.
So with our Friday episode, we really want to make this effectively open source. We want your buy-in. We want your feedback. We want to use this platform as an opportunity to crowdsource the best ideas from the financial independence community. And by doing this together, we believe that we can really transform this concept of financial independence into a more mainstream idea. So I just want to let you know that as we're creating these episodes, we realize that a lot of these are resources that you're going to want to refer back to over and over again, both the concept of financial independence, but also just the articles that we mentioned, the resources that we mentioned, the calculators, links, etc. And so I just want to let you know, Brad actually does take the time to actually take all of the information that we talk about on the show and put it together in the form of show notes, which are on the website at the bottom of each page. But if you just want us to bundle all those up together for you, and you want to get a copy of our free ebook, FI Made Simple, Financial Independence Made Simple. This is a free ebook that we're continuing to flesh out and add to it as we go. And it's just going to kind of be this trailblazing guide to help you figure out how to implement financial independence into your own life and also reference additional content. Well, we actually have a pretty cool idea set up, and I'm going to let Brad tell you about that right now.
Yeah, this is a really cool thing. So we just set this up. You can text the word ChooseFI, one word, ChooseFI, to 44222, and that will get you on our email list. So when you text ChooseFI to 44222, it'll just send you back just saying, hey, thanks for signing up. Just send us your email address and we'll put you on the list. So you just reply with your email address and that's that. So for all of you that, can't get to a computer when you're listening to this on your phone or in the car, just, text that real quick and you'll be on the list. So yeah, we really hope to provide you value, not only on this podcast, but certainly like Jonathan said, through email and through our website. We think we're really trying to build the most comprehensive resource for the FIRE community and for financial independence in general. And yeah, we really hope you join us.
All right. So next, what we want to do on this Friday Roundup is we just kind of want to actually collect some of the comments and the questions and the feedback that we're receiving and then provide them to you because we think that they add a level of depth that you might not get if we were just talking nonstop about our own ideas. So this first was an email that we got from Isaac. And he had a specific question about interacting with people about financial independence. And Brad, do you want to go ahead and put that out there?
Yeah, you bet. And we love getting feedback from the audience. So, please shoot us an email, go to our contact form, send us a tweet on Twitter, just get in touch. And what's actually very cool, talk about how real time this is literally as we're writing this, Isaac just wrote us another email. So he'll hear this on Friday, just wrote us another email with another idea. So we love getting this kind of feedback. So what he said was, I'd love for you guys to talk about this topic a bit further. How have others responded to you guys being so, quote, openly FIRE? It's very challenging and often feels lonely on the FIRE journey. And I'm curious how you guys have been received by friends, family, coworkers along the way, being so out in the public between the blogs, podcasts, websites, etc. So yeah, Jonathan, do you want to start with that or do you want me to go?
Yeah, no, I think probably for me, I have more at stake than you because you're essentially there already, but I could be wrong. For me, it's really interesting. One, the values that we're promoting are universal. So we're talking about work ethic. So everybody at some point in time has to trade time for money. And while you're in that space, we encourage you to be the best you can be. You want to get your 1% to 3% raises. You want to absolutely be a hardworking employee. There's nothing illegal or unethical about what we're encouraging people to do. And so I think that's a universal value: honesty, transparency, trust, good work ethic. Those are things that everybody should be able to relate to. And then the other part of that is where you put your values. And that is where it gets challenging. And I think to some degree, you're going to find what friends you're going to have long-term and which ones you just won't be able to spend as much time with. Because when you get into a conflict of values, your idea of spending money or your idea of where you want to spend your money is putting it into your 401k. And then you want to focus on more frugal activities. That's one value. And then if your other set of friends wants to go to Vegas, and then go put it all in black, that's a different set of values. And so there's kind of a little bit of a battle being waged out that entire time. And so I think the nice balance is as you start to develop new friends, look for people that share your new values and then always, maintain relationships, but figure out where that line is and what point you're not willing to go past. Because I'm not going to sacrifice 2 or 3 years of work in order to do some of those extra activities. I'm not going to get the golf club membership.
Yeah, that makes sense. As you've started this podcast and the blog, have you actually had conversations with family? So like extended family about what you're doing, what FIRE even is? Has this been an actual topic of conversation for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't mind talking about it. I don't always frame it in terms of the ideas for me not have to work. That's the part that I don't get into. Instead, I focus more on we're going to get out of debt. We're going to get rid of our student loans, which most people appreciate you're just doing it with a little bit more intensity. I also don't throw other people's purchases in their face. So if someone has, a new car or I'm not walking around judging people for the decisions that they made. It's more when someone is telling me that they're thinking about purchasing a new car, then I kindly encourage them or motivate them to maybe look at their alternatives. So you never want to go out there and just judge people that have already made their choices and are there for it. I mean, who am I to tell you what to do? I've certainly made my own mistakes, So those are kind of the two different, I guess, guiding philosophies that I have. Mentor people when possible. Don't try to make anybody feel bad for a choice that they've already made.
Yeah, I totally agree. You can't walk around judging people, because then you're the jerk that nobody wants to talk to. So, we're already kind of a little bit out there. While I think what we're doing is perfectly normal and what everybody should be doing, it is on the fringe, if you will, of just by sheer virtue of, not a tiny sliver of the population are living this lifestyle. So the last thing you want to do is be the jerk walking around telling people they can't go out to eat. In full disclosure, and maybe this is one of those things where you're kind of, sometimes nicest or meanest to your closest family. And it's, my parents just bought a new car, and I tried to talk them out of it. I've been annoyed since they did it. And they're about the only ones that I'll ever flat out tell to their face, man, I really wish you didn't do that. But, it also kind of ties into Isaac's question, which is, I find that not everybody is ready for this information, and people don't want it shoved down their throat. They just want to live their lives, and it's hard to change people's behaviors. But, you just try to model it in your own life by being frugal, like Liz does with the potlucks, having friends over instead of going out for a $200 dinner or something like that. And maybe that'll help. Like Laura and I, and this is to Isaac's question, we don't talk about this with our friends. We don't talk about fire. I think most people in my social circle, if you will, know that I have websites and that I do the travel reward stuff. So I'm not 100% sure that most people know that I'm as hardcore on this fire path as I am, or that we do save a huge percentage of our income. I suspect some people do, but I don't know who. And it's just not something that we talk about that often. If it came up in conversation, I'd love to chat about it, but it's not something I ever go around oh, I'm saving a lot of money. That's not, you're not going to have a lot of friends if you do that necessarily. But Laura and I had some friends over a couple of weeks ago, and we made it where instead of going out to a brewery, which, there are a ton of craft breweries here in Richmond, and, we do that a lot with our friends, but instead of doing that, we just had what we call a beer tasting at our house. So everybody literally brought over 6 or 12 beers, each couple, and 6 beers, of all different kinds. And we had some tastings, and it was $6 or $7 to get or for craft 6-pack, $10, let's say, instead of going out and buying, $6 beers at a brewery. So something like that was little, but is that going to change behavior for our friends and our group of friends? Maybe, maybe not, but we had a lot of fun doing it, and it was so much less expensive than our normal, let's go to the brewery and spend $20 on 3 beers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very cool. I think that most of the stuff that we're talking about is actually pretty non-controversial once you get into it. I think the part for me that the part that I find myself avoiding is the part that I say that I'm essentially going to retire in the next 5 years, right? That's the part that if you do that, suddenly everything else that you did, now people are looking at you like, well, why do you get to? And I still have to work for the next 20 years, right? I mean, that's probably the hang up that some people have. And I don't know if that's really true, but in my own mind, I think of everything I do, that's the only thing that I would probably hold back is, hey, I'm actually going to pull the trigger, and hey, I'm just going to be a stay-at-home dad, or I'm going to work from home, or all these other things. That's a part I could see myself avoiding to some degree.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's just opening up a whole can of worms. On the face of it, an odd and controversial thing, if people have never heard what, retiring early. Most people think retiring early is at 60 or 62, whereas you're thinking about doing it in your mid-30s. So I can understand that being a very odd topic of conversation. I think it's just safer to talk about conscious or smart frugality, not going out to eat all the time, just in little ways, like the ways that people might actually change their behavior. Many families are spending $1,000 or more on food, or going out to eat every month. And whereas you said you can do it for 300, maybe everybody's not going to go down to 300, but if they can shave a couple $100 off, that gives them a lot of breathing room, not buying that new car every couple of years, these things that could make huge differences. Whereas most people that are not going to retire early. They're not going to read ChooseFI and listen to the podcast and just change their lives. There might be a couple, and that's going to be extremely gratifying for you to have made that difference. But man, if you can even make a little difference, that would save somebody $1,000 a year, which they could do in their sleep. That is huge. I mean, we talk about people living paycheck to paycheck. If they had $1,000 or $2 extra a year for just a couple little life hacks, that makes the difference, all the difference for people. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a smart strategy personally.
Cool.
All right, Jonathan, I think you got a couple of emails that you wanted to mention on the air as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this first one I got came in actually this morning as we're recording this from Evan. And Evan says, "Hey guys, I heard you on the Radical Personal Finance podcast. I just got done doing my taxes for the year, and I think I may have stumbled onto something. I haven't read anyone doing this before, although I'm sure people have, but I think it'd be helpful for folks to hear about. Here's a short story. I'm self-employed. Last year, I paid around $8,000 in taxes. This year, making the exact same amount, I only paid around $2,000 in taxes. And my technique involves fully utilizing SEP and individual 401k plans in addition to the traditional IRA. And Evan apparently has made a bunch of spreadsheets to optimize what he earned in terms of income salary and to minimize his Social Security and Medicare payroll tax. And he also was able to maximize his earned income tax credit and his saver credit while paying $0 in federal tax. So Evan says, hey, let me know if you would like for me to send over the full article or talk about this in details. And so this is my open segue to say, yes, Evan, we want to talk to you about this stuff. And in fact, that's what Brad and I had in mind for this. We keep saying it. This is by the fire community for the fire community. So we're going out and we're grabbing people that have been doing this for 5, 6, 10 years and have just tons and tons of content. And they know a lot of stuff and they've packaged it really well. And we're bringing them on the show and they're sharing it with us and we're learning from them. But there are millions of new articles that are being written every single month. And some of them are game changers. And so what we want to do is if you have a good idea or you know someone that has a really good idea, we want to find that content and we want to talk to you and we want to get those ideas out there so we can all benefit from them. So Evan, this is our way of saying absolutely send it on over. Let's have a conversation and talk about it.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we're not just looking to have on famous bloggers here on the ChooseFI podcast. This is for the fire community, by the fire community, as Jonathan said. So if you have an idea, I don't care if you have a blog or not. If you've been living this life and you have some hack that you think would help our audience and help the community, get in touch with us. We'd love to publicize it and love to get it out there. And helping other people is what this is all about. So please don't think that we're snobs here about, oh, you have to be some big blogger to get on our site. That is not it at all. We love the input. So thank you.
All right, Brad. And we had another comment come in, and this one was directed at our travel rewards episode, how to travel the world for free, the easy way. And this is from Sarah. And Sarah says, we just found your podcast. We're really enjoying it. I have checked out various travel reward sites in the past, and I quickly got overwhelmed. But listening to you guys talk it out sounds much more achievable. And my question is, do the points earned, do they stay with the Chase Sapphire card, et cetera? Or do they expire after a certain amount of time, or do they just expire when you close the card? Brad, do you want to give her an answer on that one?
Yeah, for sure. This is a really great question. So with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, the points do reside in your credit card account. And as I talked about on our Travel Rewards podcast, the great part about those points are that they're so flexible because you can transfer them out. So you can transfer them to 11 different airline and hotel partners. And then from that point on, they are no longer related to your Chase account at all. So for instance, if you logged into your Chase account, transferred all your points over to your Southwest Airlines account, then those points are no longer Chase points. They are Southwest miles, and they are subject to the expiration policy of Southwest. Okay, so same with all 11 partners. Now, each of those partners have different expiration policies. So theoretically, they could expire. But let's just game this out. So you open up the Sapphire Preferred today, beginning of March, and you get your bonus points a couple months from now, and it's coming up on a year, and you're contemplating whether to leave the card open or close it. And, that's not my business at all, whether you do, but let's say you want to make that decision. You can transfer the points to, let's say, British Airways. And then I think British Airways, off the top of my head, has a 3-year expiration policy. So that would give you, essentially, from the time you open the credit card, 4 years to use those points, because you have the year where you kept it at Chase, and then you sent them over to British Airways, and you have another 3 years. So it's also very easy to extend the expiration when they're in the airline or hotel rewards accounts, because generally speaking, any activity resets the clock on the expiration. So that theoretically make those points last forever. So that's probably the easiest way. Then just real quick, the other way is if you have another Chase Ultimate Rewards account, you can combine them into that other card. So, again, hypothetically, if you were going to close this Sapphire Preferred, since that's your question, and you had, let's say, the Chase Inc. business card open, you could, or the Chase Sapphire Reserve, you could combine those points into the other account that you're leaving open, and then they stay there at the Chase level where they're transferable. So those are basically your two main options. But just the final word on answering your question is, if you did close the credit card while you still had the points in that account, you would lose them. But the very easy way is to just transfer them out before you close the card. So hope that helped. And thanks for the question.
And we had a second question kind of in the same line. This is from Chris. And he wanted to know, him and his wife both have been building up points, Ultimate Rewards points, and they each have about 100 and some odd thousand. And they want to transfer it for one flight. And they wanted to know, can Chris transfer his rewards to a transfer partner in his wife's name, or do they always have to stay in Chris's name?
Okay, so if they both had Ultimate Rewards accounts, you and the details get pretty specific here. You can combine Chase points with a member of your household. They can combine them into one Chase Ultimate Rewards account and then transfer from there to, let's say it's Chris's account that they combine them into. They could then transfer them out to Chris's United account or British Airways account or whatever airline they decide. Now, it becomes a little more complicated when you try to transfer to a travel partner from your spouse's credit card account. So, and again, this is getting into the weeds here, but with Chase Ultimate Rewards, let's say Chris had his Chase account, but they wanted to transfer the points to his wife's British Airways account. They could not do that unless she was an authorized user on Chris's account. Okay, so that's what Chase says. To transfer them to a travel partner, you have to be a household member and you have to be an authorized user. So as we discussed in the Travel Rewards podcast, it's not ideal to add authorized users just because it on Chase's 524 rule, it kind of loses some of your future flexibility. So we don't advise that unless you have to. So the easiest way for them would be to combine them at the Chase level and then transfer them out.
So that's the simplest answer. If you both have Chase cards, you can combine them together at the Chase level and then use them to then book your trips from there. I want to say with Travel Rewards, so much fun, always changing, but you can travel the world for virtually free. And this is a powerful tool that you need to learn about. You're leaving serious dollars on the table if you don't. We have actually went ahead and created an incredibly comprehensive course for the ChooseFI community to keep track of all the changes for you and let you know about the best redemptions as they land. And to access that course, you can go to ChooseFI.com/travel. And this course is incredibly in-depth and really tailored for your goals, being someone on the path to financial independence. Check it out, ChooseFI.com/travel.
All right, Jonathan. So moving on, I wanted to get an update on how your quest to lose 30 pounds before April 22nd, when your son is born, is going.
Yeah, man. Looking at that ultrasound right now. I'm crushing it. Right? Isn't that what Vanderchuck says? I am crushing it. I am down. Let's see. So I was around 197, 198 pounds. I'm down to just under 182 pounds. So I'm right about where I need to be, 16 to 17 pounds in about 6 or 7 weeks. So just over 2 pounds a week. I am right on track. It's actually been really challenging because I work full time and then I am pushing this blog and this podcast. I'm trying to get it to a certain level before I even slow down at all. So every free minute I have is going to either responding to an email or creating new content or creating, so it's not a pity party, but it's just, this is the reality of where I'm at, 40 hours or more at work, and then probably another 20 or 30 in creating this thing. And so that has meant that I don't have as much time to do the exercise component, which meant I have to be 100% dialed in on the diet component. And actually, this has probably been the easiest I've ever had it with dieting. I cut out all the processed sugar that I told y'all I was going to get rid of. And my energy levels have been just perfect for 3 weeks. And that never happens. I mean, I'm always crashing highs and lows. But just from cutting out all the processed sugar, I wake up every morning around 6 a.m. Usually Brad and I are texting by 7 to figure out what the plan is for the day. And I mean, I have just unbelievable energy levels. And a couple things that I think are key to my success. I've really invested for a while now in just making good coffee. That's one. That's a great source of caffeine. This is my one little vice. I do buy these large 24 packs of monsters, or these 0-calorie monsters. And about once every 2 or 3 days, I will have one just for an extra kick. And that is it. Everything else is 100% clean food. I am going to bed on an empty stomach, more or less, so I have that. I think that question before was, well, when do you stop eating? I just do dinner. So, whatever dinner is. And it's usually a very clean dinner. So sweet potato or chicken or a salad or something else. And then one day a week, I am doing a fast day. And so it's usually either on a Thursday or Friday. I one day a week do a 12-hour shift at work. So I usually time it around that. And on that day, I'll still have caffeine. I'll have one of those monsters. I'll start off my day with some coffee. I'll try to make sure I drink plenty of water and, just grind your way through it. But I am absolutely going into new territory now. So if I can keep this up for another, I don't know, whatever it is, 8 weeks, I guess is what I have left, 6 to 8 weeks. I should absolutely hit my goal there. And I think it's going to be pretty cool. Now, for those of you that have sent us messages asking about some of the other content that we promised, recipes, meal plan ideas, all that stuff is coming. It's in the pipeline. Once we get this content down for you, we anticipate that it's what we like to call evergreen content. It's always going to be applicable. It's going to be here as this living resource for you that you'll be able to access anytime you want. And so, part of that was this little 3-month transformation. And I hope that you find what I'm doing to be something that's relatable. You do not need to lose 3 pounds a week and do it what I'm doing in this 3-month process. But if you wanted to, you could.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I mean, what you just said there, where you're just feeling better, right? And it's not just losing the weight. It's not having those crashes, right?
Yeah, you can stop wearing sweatpants, right?
Yeah. It's so huge. So yeah, I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal. Congrats, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. All right, Brad. So what about you? I wasn't the only one that made a health commitment. You said you were going to get your way to a 6-minute mile and 15 pull-ups. How's that going?
Yeah, it's going. It's not going quite as well as yours, to be honest. But this might actually make one of the outtakes for one of our guests that we just recorded recently. But I've been learning actually Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is something that didn't make our health episode, but something that I've just been really, really into lately. It's just such a phenomenal discipline and such a neat thing to learn. But this is so pathetic, but we were practicing this one particular type of submission hold and my throat got kind of screwed up a little bit. So I have not been exercising the last week or two as much as I'd like. So that's my little excuse for the day. But what I decided to do, so I'm up to now 10 pull-ups, which is not bad.
Yeah.
And on the 6-minute mile, I am so unbelievably lazy that I just can't go out to a track. It's such a mental hurdle for me, but I do go to the gym. So what I decided to do was to try to do this, and this might be cheating, honestly, but I'm okay with it for now at least, which is go on the treadmill and set it to 10 miles per hour, which is a 6-minute mile. So if I can run for 6 minutes at 10 miles per hour on the treadmill, that to me is a 6-minute mile.
Sure.
Now,
yeah,
again, does that sound reasonable?
Yeah,
I mean, it
no,
sounds,
100%.
Somewhat reasonable.
The starting place.
Yeah, I mean, the real track athletes out there might, scoff at that, but I'm okay with that for now. So I'm up to, the last time I went, I got to, I think, 2.5 minutes straight at that pace. I probably could have went for more, but just decided to kind of stop there. So what I'm going to try to do is every time I go to the gym, just add on to that. And to me, psychologically, that's a nice way to go about this. So if you notice over the podcast, I'm always talking about the psychological impacts of things. And for me, maybe I have a lot of mental hurdles that I have to overcome, but I think I'm probably pretty normal. But financial independence, I think, is a lot about psychology, and I think exercise is too. So if I can set up these little things, if I can just beat that 2.5 minutes by 5 seconds the next time, it's not going to be too long from now that I'm up to that 6 minutes. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it. So the short answer to your question is 2.5 minutes, 10 pull-ups right now.
All right. Let's see. So what else do we need to catch up on? The other thing we said we were going to do, I was going to pay off my student loans. And I estimate that I have about 4 or 5 paychecks left. Now I get paid bi-weekly. And so the way that I always track it is how many weekends of work do I have left before I'm done with my student loans?
Nice.
And so, yeah, I got about 5 more before I'm no longer sending anything to the government. So
that is amazing.
Yeah. It's going to feel pretty good, man. It's going to feel really good. And I use, when you're doing it for that long period of time, I actually use personal capital. I use that to track a lot of my expenses plus my debt reduction. And man, that little thing has been going down 1 tick mark at a time for the last 3 to 4 years. So it is going to feel really good to see that part level off, and then it just be, investments and taxable accounts from there. So very cool stuff.
And yeah, just a quick thing here is, Jonathan mentioned personal capital. That's a free tool that we use to track our income, expenses, net worth, and I think it's well worth signing up for. It's really phenomenal, and you can sign up for it through ChooseFI.com/personal capital.
Brad, even as you're saying that, and I'm the one that set up that link, I realize we got to make it shorter. Let's how far down can we shorten that thing? Let's just go at ChooseFI.com/PC. So if you want to track your net worth for free and have a way to bring in all of your various accounts, whether it be investment accounts and taxable or 401k, etc., be able to have this intuitive dashboard that will watch that balance move up and to the right over time, go to ChooseFI.com/PC. P as in Paul, C as in cat. It's funny, I've actually been using this app for years and just recently found out that they have an affiliate program. And so I was so excited. Wow, I get to talk about products that I've been using and that I love and that I know will help our audience. So, if you're hearing this for the first time, you're like, oh, wow, that does actually sound pretty cool. You think you could benefit from having a net worth dashboard and simultaneously you want to support the show at no cost to yourself. Check it out. Use our affiliate link. It is, again, completely free. And that is win-win, right, Brad?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal tool, and yeah, it's free. No reason not to sign up.
So, this is our first Friday Roundup. We have promised y'all that this is interactive, and this is what it looks like. We want to open it up to you. Send us your comments, your emails. We're going to get this voicemail feature set up at some point. Let us know what you're enjoying. But this is for the community. Isaac was saying, in that comment that it feels lonely. It feels lonely in your neighborhood maybe, but that doesn't mean that there's not millions of other people out there that are looking for the same freedom that you're looking for. And we just want to provide essentially this playground where we can throw these ideas out there and see what works and then get feedback on it and figure out how to make them better together.
Yeah, I totally agree. This has been a really fun first Friday episode. I'm glad we recorded it. And yeah, like Jonathan said, we need your input. We want your input. So, please get in touch. That's what this is all about for us. We love talking about this. We love interacting with you. So get involved. And yeah, just, the last thing is the best way that you can support this podcast is to listen, is to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever podcast app you use. And please rate and review us on iTunes. I know we say it a couple times, but we are really just getting started. And while we have really struck a chord with people and we're getting, more downloads than we could have ever imagined at this point, like the best way for us to get this word out is through iTunes and through appearing higher up in their rankings. And the way that happens is when you go there, you rate and review it, and more people can see us. So as always, we really appreciate you listening. We really appreciate you being involved. So thank you.
All right, guys. Well, this brings us to the end of our first, but definitely not our last Friday Roundup. We'll see you next time as we continue to go down the road less traveled.
You've been listening to ChooseFI Radio Podcast, where we help middle-class America build wealth, one life hack at a time.
Hey everyone, hope you're enjoying the show. I can tell that you're completionist, as am I, going back and working your way through the archives. I think that's an incredible way to tackle this concept of financial independence. The information does really build on itself, and I hope you're getting value as you're exploring the interviews and then diving deep into some of the concepts that are introduced. I just wanted to give you the heads up. I just wanted to update you. So we recorded this episode back in 2017, and in October of 2019, we actually released our book, ChooseFI, Your Blueprint to Financial Independence. It can be found anywhere that books are found. And it actually takes the big ideas, the concepts that we've been talking about over the past 2 or 3 years and bundles them together. I think you'll find it incredibly valuable. And if you're looking for a gift for a family member or someone that you know that you're into this, you get it, you're on board, but you want to introduce someone else to the concept of financial independence, definitely consider ChooseFI, Your Blueprint to Financial Independence, the book, as an option. To get a copy, just go to ChooseFI.com/book. All right, we'll see you next time.